Welcome learners to your weekly instructional lesson, week 20 in English, otherwise known as a WIL, W-I-L for weekly instructional lesson. This week's learning target for week 20 is, I can use conventions and precision of the English language to communicate effectively. Okay, so you know I always have these cog skills on the top of my lessons so that you can review them and know that yes, this is one of the cog skills, or it's actually several of them rolled up into one, conventions and precisions. Because one of the major items in everyone's writing is how effectively you have communicated in English with precision and conventions of English. So if you don't know what that means, there's a video here to watch to help clarify that. Conventions means, are you using capitalization? I see this so much. I can't believe that many of our learners don't know how to keyboard, it seems like. Don't know how to do shift with your pinky fingers to make capital I. That immediately will tell an English teacher, they don't care enough about their writing to get a very good score if they're not proofreading for capitals. Also, are you using punctuation? Please don't run your sentences together. If you put a period at the end, you need a space between the next word. It should not be a period and then you're typing right away. You need to have some separation between your sentences so that the audience will know what your meaning is. And this should not even be happening with all the technology that we have today. Spelling errors. There is a spell check already in your system. Check the spelling. And also I have been recommending over and over again to try to use Grammarly.com, because not only can it search for errors in spelling, but it can find punctuation errors, it can find all kinds of things and help you with your writing. Okay, to really get a nice visual about this, there is this chart that shows you about editing, going back and looking. Before you even turn it in, make sure that you're checking and proofreading your work. Run it through Grammarly, it will help. Also, to revise, don't be discouraged if it gets sent back to you. We're only trying to help you get the best score that you possibly can. I know that it seems like you might be sending things in and say, oh, wasn't that good enough for you? Well, maybe not, because are you really looking over the rubric to try to find out what you need to do to get the best score? And in your revision, make sure that you are adding sentences, and remember, a paragraph is not one sentence. A paragraph is at least 4 sentences, not one. Know the difference between a sentence and a paragraph. Okay, you might have to remove some of the words if they don't make sense. You might have to change things around, and you might have to substitute or trade words up. Try not to use such general language such as things or stuff or they. You need to use detailed, alive language. Alright, let's move down to watch this video about editing your writing and what it means with conventions. Then I want to share with you what is in almost every scoring guide in Summit. When you get to those final products in English, every one of them has something like this about communicating accurately and precisely. And you get scored, either you're doing 100%, you're fully meeting expectations from everything that you are learning in your focus areas, punctuation in the focus areas, word meaning, word choice, sentence patterns. Are you using what you're learning in your projects? Are you transferring that knowledge to the projects? So if you're meeting it and you're sending in work that is has been proofread, and the punctuation is right, and there's no spelling errors, and there's no little i's or people's names that are not capitalized. In English, in the English language, in America, we do capitalize pronouns and first names. We don't leave them with uncapped. It's not text writing at all. Please do not use text speak. So if you're doing the right thing, then you will get 100%, and that can boost your score. But if you're letting things come in with errors, grammatical errors, spelling errors, punctuation errors, very hard to read, then you might not score as well. So this is one of the ways it is scored, but this is another way, through a rubric. Below is a rubric. This is just an example of one. When the teachers go through your work, we try to take out any bias, but have to go through and see, are you meeting what is written in the rubric? So if I were you, I would be reading those rubrics as you're proofreading and say to yourself, I really need a good grade on this, but am I doing everything it's saying in the rubric? Every rubric is a little bit different, and the better you are, the higher your score will be. So if you do not understand what I'm talking about with rubrics in Summit, you should go back and look at them, but I also have these flashcards that will help you understand what are rubrics, what are they used for. After you've explored all of these resources, I want you to explain why it is important to write with conventions and precision, correct spelling, punctuation, capitalization, and grammar in English. Fill in this blue box. Okay, now we are moving on to checkpoint number 4 in each grade level. If you are in 6th grade, you have been working on I Am Malala. You are writing your own memoir. Make sure you use that outline that we talked about last week to put together a 5-paragraph essay about your life. Make sure you double check and proofread and use conventions of English in your resources. There's a checklist to go through it to ask yourself, did I use good punctuation, capitalization? Is my grammar okay? Make sure you're going through that checklist. In 7th grade, checkpoint number 4, you are writing a compare and contrast essay with The Hobbit. So if you were up to the speed, you used an outline last week, you're going to take everything out of that outline and put it together in another 5-paragraph essay comparing the book and the movie. It's great if you have access to the movie. Every link that I find on YouTube might not be authorized. They tend to put it up and then take it down again, but you can find parts of it on YouTube, or you can find parts of it, you can find the whole movie yourself, either streaming, or if you know that there's a video somewhere, go to a library and find the video of The Hobbit so you can compare and contrast the movie. In grade 8, you're also working on checkpoint number 4, but you're doing a plot design. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, then you need to go to checkpoint number 4 and scroll all the way down to the very bottom of the page, and you'll find a plot chart. It's a question and answer. They ask you questions, you answer the questions, because you're going to be using that when you do your final product. In 9th grade, you are preparing for a mock trial to find out the character that you have chosen, whether it be Piggy, Ralph, Jack, or one of the little boys. Any of those characters, you choose one, and you're going to write about that character's development. If you don't know or don't understand, or you need an example, there is a script that you can look at. Look up that resource. If this link doesn't work, then go to your Summit and find your resources. Remember to always proofread your writing. Please don't waste your time by sending in work that has not been proofread, because it's going to get sent right back to you and you'll have to do it again. Instead, save yourself the grief. Run it through Grammarly.com. I really like this site. It's very easy to use. All you have to do is copy and paste, and it finds the mistakes for you. And please remember that the definition of a paragraph is at the very least 4 sentences. Now, it can be more, but if it's less than 4, it's not really a paragraph at all. The last thing I want you to do is come down to the reflection, and I want you to answer this question. Do you use or check over your writing by proofreading it and or using a spell check that's already in your computer, or Grammarly.com before you send it in? Why should you do this? Please answer that question, because I get so many people that send in work that they didn't look over, and I have to send it back for silly little errors that they could have fixed before they turned it in. All right, learners. That's a lot of information. There's a lot to do. You're getting ready for the end of this project, which is going to be coming due before Valentine's Day. So make sure you're watching the wills, all of them, so that you can understand if there's anything that you're missing. And make sure you're writing and turning in your work on time. Have a great, productive end of January 2020.